Hey folks, welcome to Infused, our cannabis talk show where we take you inside the industry that is literally grown around our favorite plant. I'm here in the Alias Can Studios where our motto around here is, of course, no one grows alone. And I'm not alone today. I'm joined by our amazingly talented co-founder, Francesca. Francesca, how you doing today?
I'm doing great today, Nick. Thank you for asking. That's very sweet of you.
Now I don't believe it.
Actually, it is. I'm really excited for today.
I am tremendously excited for today. There's a lot to be excited about, though. I mean, it's April. We have this thing called hope again. Every day we're getting more and more notice that people are getting vaccinated and that public health is going to be better soon. So that makes me really, really excited. And I wanted to ask you, because I know it's just one of these things you're chomping at the bit. One of the things you miss about our industry, of course, is traveling. You're a big traveler. You're a big traveler. And it made me think, is there one particular spot, and by spot, I mean a hotel. Is there like a place that you're looking forward to returning once everybody's safe and sound?
The number one hotel I have to get back to as soon as I feel like comfortable flying, and that for me means vaccinated, is definitely the Cosmo at in Vegas on the Strip. The Cosmopolitan is just... it's all swank and it's fun as like an escape. So I'm into it. I want to get back there so bad. And they have this secret pizza place that is awesome.
You're huge on that one. You are huge on that one. And it is a place, it's a very, very impressive hotel, as the Doc Holliday, Val Kilmer version would say, very cosmopolitan. It's one of my favorite places to go. I was thinking I want to get back to, and part of it's like a family thing. I love that Swan Dolphin Complex down in Orlando where my sister works.
Classic.
It's one of my favorite places to just go relax. And I was thinking of that too, because I've experienced it in different ways. As a kid, when my sister was starting out as an intern down there, we went down and she got my parents a room that was a concierge room. And this is what kind of scars it in my memory. We had never been with any kind of concierge service. So my father loved it, and he began to live in the concierge lounge. I'm not kidding. He'd be like anybody, they got great bagels, they got this, they got that, and it got to a point where he knew. He's like, Brett leaves at 2, but then Crystal, she should be coming in. She's originally from Texas. I'd be like, oh my God, it was damn embarrassing. But that was I
could so see it.
Oh my God, you should. The General was in his glory. Hi, General. And hi, Cookie, too. I was talking about my sister's hotel down there. But the thing was, I'd never experienced a concierge, and sort of that they're there to kind of just take care of the various needs of the guest. And I remember that in that famous Office episode where Michael Scott went to the Montreal Hotel, and they said, just ask the concierge. And they said, they have one of those? Well, did you know that there's something called a concierge?
I did know this. I know this because I'm friends with this concierge, this mystical creature that's amazing.
So you know why I'm so excited about today, because
I definitely do.
Today, Infused listeners, we have a huge treat, and our very special guest that's joining us today. She's so impressive. She's so interesting, and it's an education just to talk and read her blogs. She's a women's cannabis educator. She is a creative and marketing ideatrix. She is a sociologist. She's a Cannamom, but most importantly, she's the founder and CEO of Canncierge Consulting. Join me in welcoming Christina Forbrich. Christina, hey.
Whoa. Hello.
Thank you so much. Hi. Tell us, how is it like you're in San Diego? What's the weather like? Just perfect?
No, it's bad today. Quote, bad. It's actually, we have a storm coming in, so it's going to be really rainy and cold. It's very windy right now. So for the next 2 days, we have real weather now. I've lived here my whole life, and it has definitely changed. Like literally, we did not have this much weather. So
sad.
Yeah, it is kind of sad, but it's still beautiful. I am not complaining. I'm not complaining.
Very good. Very good. Well, I mean, you brightened our day just by joining us. So thank you so much. And I want to get right to it. We're culturally aware of what a concierge does at a hotel for guests. But could you tell us, what is the role of the concierge?
Yes. Okay. So the concierge is my idea, and it actually sprung from my past as a hotelier. I was in hotels and hospitality for many years, and I have a deep passion for that industry. Actually, I have a lot of friends in it, and it's super super fun. So I'm a hotel junkie and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, me too.
So I when I started my company about 5 years ago, I love wordplay. I love puns, and so I thought, what am I doing here? I'm guiding people with weed. I'm kind of a concierge. And so I thought, okay, that's hilarious.
Inspired.
And so I trademarked it. I did all the things because I just felt it in my bones. And so it really does, it's illustrative of what I do. I really am a guide for cannabis in people's different lives, and a kind and helpful resource.
I'll say definitely.
That's what I love about your business model. It's so people focused, and while you're helping people, you're also doing something that is of infinite value to those of us in the cannabis community, because every time you work with somebody and introduce them to this plant or take them further along their journey to this plant, you are helping demystify the plant, and you're helping us to end that stigma that still surrounds cannabis to this day. So I'm just such a huge a fan of the way you approach your work. You take people and you personalize, you give them a canna plan. What goes into making that?
Sure. So I work with individuals and families as well as businesses, but on the individual side, essentially what I do is I work with someone with between questionnaires and surveys to understand what their needs are and what their health is and all that kind of stuff. I use confidential questionnaires, and then we talk, and I help them devise a plan that gives them informed education to make informed consumption decisions, essentially. So that I'm not saying use this product and this and this and this. I'm saying this is the type of thing you want to look for these qualities, these types of indicators, purity, etc. And then they're able to go out and shop and experiment in a safe way where they feel like they're making educated guesses, essentially. So it's my hope that I give people an entry point into something that maybe they were afraid of before for whatever reason. Obviously a ton of stigma and misinformation. So that's my genuine goal.
How do they find you, Christina? I think I found you. So I found you on Instagram. But you mentioned like individuals and groups and businesses. Do you market to each differently, or do you kind of collect those who find you where you are so that you have like a better matchup, or kind of give us some insight on if I'm this quote unquote green, how would I stumble upon somebody that's such a professional?
So it's a mix. I haven't done any paid traditional promotion, and I've found that, and I've been doing that on purpose because I want to see what I can do on an organic scale and really build a base that's engaged and there for value. And so I'm not consumed with certain things like likes and stuff. People find me on Instagram, but mainly in real life, it's by word of mouth. It's by other clients and my friends and their moms. Mm-hmm. And grandmas. And I did a 70th birthday party last summer, or 2 summers ago now. Wow. Because a friend had said, hey, I have a friend who's really good at talking about this stuff. And as a woman, obviously I have experience as a patient and advocate and a female human. So it's very much in my wheelhouse. And I come from education as well. I had a career in development for public education. So doing public speaking and not necessarily selling something, but showing mm-hmm. people the features and the benefits of cannabis and then dispelling some myths is essentially what I've been known to do. So basically word of mouth. And as far as working with companies, essentially that has been very fortuitous in many times, but also I have connections. I have true friendships in this industry. And oftentimes I'm working behind the scenes on something for a big company, and I don't even talk about it because it's something that I am being paid to do, and it's a consulting gig, and it's not for clout. You know, it really is like I'm writing content. So it depends, but mainly word of mouth. And I think it is while people think it's like this big, huge billion-dollar industry, which it is, but it's also a very small community.
Yes.
So if you aren't living up to what your goals are, or being authentic, that gets ferreted out very quickly. And so if I try to be as authentic a human as I can be, and I think that is very attractive to companies, because I am also a creative. I know how to authentically articulate myself, and authenticity is key when you're working in this space. But I would like to do more promotion and things like that, but I just haven't gone there yet, and it's been really fortuitous at this point.
Yeah, I mean, but what that's a hell of a calling card, where you say that, it's mostly word of mouth, and you are serving the needs of a growing, important demographic. I just took note when you said you did a 70th birthday party.
I know,
recently.
I was like,
yes,
I might need to have you do my 40th.
Well, but it reminded me of like my aunt telling me that, wow, we're coming back to this plant. We fooled around with it as teenagers, but we're learning that it's a lot healthier than popping these 2-4 pills a day, and we want to know more about it. So as that generation comes back to a plant that they may have fooled around with in the past, they're going to you. I find that so incredible, and
it's really great. But there are also people who are still very, very ignorant and uneducated about this, who are in that same age bracket. I mean, I was in a city planning meeting 2 weeks ago as an advocate, because it was all this whole conservative board anti-pot for a small portion of San Diego, and they didn't want to allow legal dispensaries, they were calling drug houses, in, because they're trying to get rid of the illegal trap houses. And I was like, you don't quite understand how economics works, so let me help you with that, and then they were using really bad language. They were saying marijuana, drug addicts, murders, things like this. And I was like, first of all, let's talk about, let's just talk about the word marijuana and as this all white board, all white old people. Why you might not want to use that word. It's rooted in racism. Here's why. And I did that firmly and kindly, but then they went off the rails. I mean, I've never seen someone get so mad at me saying something is medicine, getting up, walking away from their laptop, sending me nasty messages. So part of my work also is walking straight into those conversations, because I'm very confident in answering questions and dispelling myths and saying, actually, like criminalization of cannabis has led to huge social equity problems and is rooted in racism. And they're like, oh, no, that can't be true. And this woman actually said to me, oh, no, my Black friend says that marijuana is not a racist word. And immediately I was like, your white supremacy is showing.
Yes.
I didn't say it, but I did text it. But that was really, when people are like, oh, it's 75% of the country is there. And that's true. But we are in a bubble on the coast. And even inside of our little bubble, there are insulated, cells of people who are just really uninformed. And it all comes down to education, because when they were having this conversation in the city planning meeting, they were talking about how they need to do more cleanup in their parks because they keep finding syringes and drug paraphernalia. And I immediately, in my head, I know this statistic.
Oh, all right.
There are a recent study, 2 months ago, this study was actually published, and they did longitudinally sound, scientifically valid, 823 communities in America. And they saw a 17% decrease in opioid overdoses when there were just 2 cannabis dispensaries available. So, I mean, those are very important conversations to have. And they're also really part of how I educate my clients. they're mostly white ladies.
Mhm.
They should understand the socioeconomic underpinnings as well as the biologics if they're going to be using this plant and understanding its place in our society. So that's also really important to me.
Do you find that the ignorance exists in pockets of demographics, or is it and it almost sounds like there's different groups that might hold different beliefs that are misleading, myths, flat out wrong, inflammatory, racist, I mean, a whole wide range in that spectrum. But do you find that generally this demographic believes this to not be true and this demographic believes this, and so you know almost like what to work on when you're approaching somebody and you're like, I can take a reasonable guess that I'm walking into an all-white conservative male board, that I'm going to have these uphill battles, versus if I'm talking to a baby boomer, person, then I'm going to have these uphill battles? Or is it just everybody's misinformed equally about different things?
I think equally everybody's pretty misinformed.
Yeah.
But when I saw who was on this board and I saw the pre-information, I knew exactly what I was dealing with. I thought, okay, well, I can't really lead with the social equity piece because these people don't care about that.
Yes.
About taxes.
Yeah.
And so I did that, but I'm not going to leave it out. So I got all my things in. But yes, absolutely. You can look at someone and talk to them for a little bit, understand a little bit, but it's gotten so different, in the last few years. You can find conservative people who use cannabis and just do not, acknowledge the hypocrisy in their value set. And that's challenging.
Mm-hmm.
It's challenging.
It's like
really
exceptionalism in a way. It's well, it's all true except for
it's exactly
when I do it. I mean, that's a huge problem, I would imagine.
Yeah, cannabis has a big social equity issue.
Yeah.
It's still mainly white, mainly male. And all we're asking for is some equity here. And it's not like we're asking for something that isn't fair. And frankly, women—
the opposite.
Women have been in this industry and community for a long time. I mean, most of the women that I've known most of my life have growing experience for 30 years.
Wow.
Have been doing this in the unregulated market for years as legacy growers. And we have a huge foothold here. It's just that we as women have been, everyone in weed has been shunned for a certain amount of time. And people have done time for that. People have died for this. But I do feel women are even more stigmatized because we're held to a different set of standards. It's almost as if, well, you're a mother and you smoke cannabis. How does that work? I'm like, how does it not work? I'm not a drinker. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do any, don't even really want to take Advil very much.
Yeah.
I can have some herb. I'm getting my second dose of the vaccine tomorrow.
Hey, congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm a caregiver, so I do have an eligibility in there. I work with my mom, and she's quite frail. So I'm really fortunate to be able to get my first dose tomorrow, or my second dose rather. And I know what I'm preparing for. I got a vial of RSO. I know I'm not going to feel so hot if my immune response is really good. And I'm just going to sleep it off. I'm going to take a huge edibles nap. So I'm not even going to use fever reducer.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use straight up cannabis. So it's very, very easy to mom and be a cannabis user.
Well, that was one of the things, Christina, I really wanted to talk to you about today. I went through a bunch of I went through your blog about being a working Cannamom, and the mommy stonedest thing put me right over. I loved it right away. But I'm looking at something that, what was taboo, absolutely taboo just a decade ago, is really now becoming I guess part of this new normal that we hear about in cannabis all the time. And I was in a webinar last Thursday where they talked about, with the Brightfield group, talking about how there's a direct line you can draw between moms using more cannabis, starting with the pandemic, and you can see the numbers. You wrote something I thought was so great, so I wanted to share it.
Please.
From your blog where you said, for me, herb is a support system, medication, recreation, meditation, and social change all wrapped up in a joint. It helps me calm from stressors so I don't snap at people.
Really does.
I love it. It quells aches and pains and illnesses naturally. I mean, congratulations. That's a hell of a commercial for cannabis in general.
I know, right?
But are you working with more moms? And if so, or do they fit a particular age group that you're seeing more of?
You know, I work with so many mothers. And the thing is that they really are all over the place. You know, like I work with women in their 20s and women in their 60s and 70s who are moms and grandmas, and then women in, you know, from all ages. Most recently, I was on a call with a woman who's my exact age and had never used cannabis and had been in the DARE program and really was frightened from using cannabis. And it had been, you know, basically equivocated with heroin to her. And she was like, I don't even know if I'm up for this, but I had a friend who told me to call you. And after our consultation, and, you know, I do a follow-up where I send her, you know, some other information, some resources. And she said, wow, I was really uninformed. She said she was shocked at the level that she hadn't realized. And I said, oh, okay, well, if you know, tell me if you have other questions. And immediately she's like, let me talk to you in a month. Like, I'm going to do some research. I'm going to buy some stuff and I'm going to try again. And we have a talk settled for next week. And she said things have been going really well. She tried some CBD with a bit of THC in it. So, which I was really hard to get her to do, but that is the level. I mean, it doesn't matter what age. It really is like where you grew up, who you listen to, your education level, your economic level. I mean, it's all really, it's a really complex thing.
It has to be, because when reading through your stuff, I was thinking, wow, the role that shame has to play in people, you know, in your business, at overcoming that shame for one reason or another. It's tremendous. Just to get some relief. And it's crazy. It's crazy to me that we'll accept, you know, I can go into a liquor store and see a bottle of bad Pinot that's called Mommy's Timeout. But people have some guilt and some shame about taking an edible with 10 milligrams or something. But that's a lot to overcome. Like you said, the factors, you know, how they were raised, what they listen, who they listen to, and that kind of thing.
And who they live with. I mean, I am blocking and tackling these things in my daily life. I mean, my husband's not a cannabis user. He a little bit, but we're on totally different cultural standpoints as far as it goes with cannabis. And so the other night, you know, we were about to sit down to watch WandaVision, and which I love, Marvel forever. But I was like, hey, oh, nice cocktail. He's making this cocktail with all this shit in it, you know, all these specialty booze things he's bought. We even have absinthe. Like, what?
Yeah, wow.
Hello, 1920s.
Oh my God. And so I said, well, why can't I hit my vape pen while you're doing that? I literally asked him, like, why do you give me a side eye if I hit my vape pen?
Yeah.
And he really couldn't answer me. He's like, I know, it's hypocritical. And I'm like, yeah.
You know,
and my daughter knows. My daughter, it's normalized. She understands.
Good.
So it's not like something about with my kid. You know, she's not judgmental. It's him.
Yeah. Yeah. I really think there's something, if the hypocrisy is recognized, but it's a hypocrisy that we've grown so comfortable with that we said, but this is just easier. It's just easier to be like, we all agreed on this. Why do we have to all change? Like, I think that is one of the biggest hurdles to overcome. And I know even when I got started in the industry and started smoking and everything, it took me a little bit to come clean to my parents, but I did because we're close like that.
Yeah.
But I had never known that they had smoked when we were growing up. They would have another couple over, and the two couples would play Pictionary, boys versus girls. And my sister and I, we always knew if they were coming over, then we would not be getting to sleep anytime soon because they all laughed so hard, so loud. And I thought Pictionary was just that much fun, but they were actually going into the basement to smoke and then coming up and playing Pictionary, which does make it a lot more fun. Pro tip. But I'm like, I'm in my mid 30s and you're just telling me this? Why is there so much wrong with it when no one that I've ever met has been able to articulate what is wrong and be correct? They're inaccurate or they can't say it.
Or loud. Yeah.
Yeah. Or both.
Yeah. They're inaccurate or they're incorrect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, these are long held beliefs. You know, I didn't know my dad smoked till I was 25. And at that point I've been smoking for 10 years, you know? So, and then once I finally smoked some weed with my dad, I was like, oh my God, this is where I get it. Like, he's a total pothead.
Yeah.
Functional, extremely well respected, very productive, grandfather, father of 4, smokes weed. You know, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
And now he's like, hey, can you come get this herb I have so you can wash it and make some hash? I'm like, oh, this is getting advanced. So, you know, I'm glad I had the experience of hiding it from my parents because I can connect with other people who do that.
Yeah.
And, but now that I've come out with it, my dad is so proud. He is so proud of me. He is a huge supporter of my work. You know, almost all my family members follow my professional feed. And if there's something inauthentic, believe me, they would talk some shit in the comments. Like,
yeah, family's good for that.
Yeah, like they're not shy at all. So I love that when multi-generational sessions occur. You know, my brother moved to Atlanta recently, well, a year ago now. And my dad and I got, you know, stoned on Zoom a month ago together. It was so fun.
That sounds awesome.
You know, escape to the backyard real quick when they come over, but you know, now it's on Zoom. But it's such a great way to bond, and you know, you're not feeling sick the next day. You don't make horrible decisions other than like, you know, maybe too many Skittles. I definitely eat too much crap, but I love it for so many reasons. And I was asked recently, oh, well, how do you know, separate medicinal and recreational? And the answer is that I do not. You know, it's not really a difference whether, you know, because if you feel wellness is wellness, even if it feels good, you know, it's okay.
That's a great quote.
To enjoy it. And so my mental health is dependent on access to outdoor time and healthy food and time with loved ones and weed. Weed helps me in an immense way. So when I'm vilified for it or someone makes some sort of mythical comment, it's like I can't help myself. I have to say something. It's like seeing a really bad grammatical error in a public service announcement. I just can't, like, it gives me hives. So I have to.
God.
I just have to say.
We are so connected.
No doubt.
It's ridiculous.
I know. I honestly cannot wait till you can come back out here, girl.
Me too.
There. I'll come out there too.
It's not as fun, but you are more than welcome.
Hey, come on. You can go north to south in the state of Delaware in an hour and a half. I mean, come on.
We're in Delaware.
That's right.
Wayne's World? Anybody? Wayne's World?
Oh yeah. Every time. It's our only reference before Biden became president.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. Every time they talk about it, I think of Delaware.
No doubt. No doubt. And you know, being a Delaware kid, I think that you mentioned Dare, right? And working with a friend, it's so funny that Dare, if you were a Dare kid, it's like you have even more of an uphill struggle to I don't know, I'll borrow that Mark Twain term, unlearn everything you were told, regardless of how stupid it was. So what it wasn't cannabis. Certainly it was either weed or pot or marijuana, but it was like you get it 2 places: the back of a van or, you know, some intergalactic shaman. And it's so cool to talk to somebody who's like, these are our people. And it's such a community. You said it before when we got on, when we started this talk. And I wanted to, since it's becoming slowly, you know, more and more accepted in the lives of so many men and women, talking about women in the cannabis space, are you pleased with the growth in the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years of seeing, are you seeing enough diversity? Are you seeing enough inclusiveness? I know we still have a ton of work to do, but it seems, when I look at Women Grow and Network and women cultivators that are doing such great work, you gotta, what are your thoughts?
Oh, we have a lot of work to do. We're not nearly, no,
of course.
not at all. It's like cannabis so white is like, it's true. It really is.
So true. As soon as it went legal, it's like, here comes the white people bandwagon in the biggest way. And it's
big time.
It's really one of the worst parts, I think, of legalization.
Here comes Wrigley and Anheuser-Busch and all the old boys.
Other than just like big corporate weed, that's a whole other shenanigan. But no, we're not diverse enough at all. I mean, as somebody who's pretty sensitive to this, I'm a few years into unpacking my white privilege and what I'm walking around with due to my genetic expression. And I am very well versed in what's happening in our world, and that Black and brown bodies have been desecrated because of this plant. And we cannot forget that as white people who, I can go out and smoke a joint on the beach, and if a cop comes over, I am not scared, bro. I'm just not that scared. And you know what? I'm not scared that I'm going to get CPS called on me if I'm smoking weed outside. And those are concerns that my Black and brown friends have every day, and that they are experiencing on such a cellular level on almost every experience they have, from going to the grocery store to getting their mail to opening up their gate to their community. Like, if you can't realize that, and like the level of privilege that I'm operating in as a white lady, and recognize, especially like some of my conservative friends who have definitely not done their research and are definitely not on their anti-racist journey yet. So I think it's really important. More important.
And I think misogyny and racism are very closely linked to one another. Like, they are both systemic problems of these institutions that we've been, brought up with since the beginning. And it's the hypocrisy is normal. So we just accept it. And because it's not ours as white people, our sacrifice that we have to worry about. We just get to ride the privilege train the entire way. And even as women, like, I know I've been pulled into conversations about, well, what's it like to be a female entrepreneur or a woman in cannabis and a leader of a business as a woman? And I'm like, I don't know how to answer this, actually. I really have never been able to successfully answer that to any satisfaction, and that isolates something that can't be isolated. It's not necessarily about being a woman, because I'm like suddenly a mouthpiece for all women. No, I'm not. Absolutely not. That's gross, because I have no idea what it's like to be a Black or brown woman at all. So, and I'm not going to pretend to, or pretend that my experiences are the same as their experience, or even other white women's experiences of, different levels of socioeconomic success, of, all kinds of things. So I always find it a difficult question, because I'm not sure what my answer is. Have you encountered that? I mean, do you have an answer when people are asking you about being a woman in the cannabis space or being a woman business owner? And what do you say? Because I still don't know what I say.
No. The thing is it's never a woman asked me that question.
Wow.
That's true. That's a good point.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's my answer. It's like, if it is another woman's like, so what is your, like, how is your scaling going? How is your business plan working, or your engagement? It's not connected to my sex and gender. It's just like, how's your business shit going? But yes, I get asked, how is it to be a mom in this industry and a woman in this industry? And I do understand it, because it's Women's Month, it's Women's Day. It's, we are in a time where more people are aware of the issues that women face on a daily basis than have been in the past. And for that, I'm very thankful. I live with a pretty evolved husband. My father has been a feminist since day one. Like, he's not fucking around with this stuff. And so I'm really lucky to have very empowering dudes around me. Yeah. But even then, there's still some unconscious bias
always
that comes in. Always. So, yeah, I don't have a good answer either. You know, I say it's like everything else that women have to deal with. You know, I mean, it's like I have to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be, you know, people are shocked. They're like, you know, say, oh, I'm a cannabis expert, blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, you don't look like
mm-hmm.
that. You don't look like a stoner.
Or a prove
like,
it. Prove it kind of question.
You have a misunderstanding. Actually, no, you have a stereotype in mind. And that's fine. But I have spent my life dislodging that. And I have never been, you know, what I always say is, what you're thinking is burnout. Ooh. I'm not a burnout. You know, like, this is why stereotypes are so dangerous, because I have literally lived to just show people, like, go ahead and underestimate me. You know, like in college, smoke a ton of weed, also got straight A's, was the leader of my honored society, and spoke at graduation, and led 2-3 super awesome traditional careers, and now started my own company that is helping support my family. And my 8-year-old daughter's watching this and just like, hell yeah, she started her own little barrette making company.
Nice.
So I want to live so that she sees a great example of someone who's advocating for herself. And that includes using a freaking plant to balance my life.
I love that, because I think it puts the onus back on the question and the person asking the question. Like, maybe this question is problematic, and so we should ask it or get the information that you want out of it in a different way, with a different question or a different set. Because you're right, I've never been asked that by another woman, because that's just not a question, unless I'm asking it for like, hey, do you have an answer for that? Because I keep getting asked this. And,
yes, exactly.
That's different than me genuinely wondering what it's like for you. Because I'm like, I love that. I want to talk about what it's like to be a Cannamom, because I think there are people out there that are mothers and cannabis users, and never shall the twain meet is kind of the philosophy. So I think they hide the one life from the other. So integrating those two has to be, it's intentional. So how did you do it, and why did you do it? And kind of like, what do you see as the benefits for you, for her, for your family from it?
Sure. So when she was about 5, so this is 3-4 years ago, you know, I grow the plants. I run my business out of my house. I have a weed memorabilia. So she, from an early age, had seen this iconic plant. And I remember we were driving home from probably preschool or something, and she saw a billboard and said, "Look, Mommy, cannabis." She was learning to read.
Oh,
and I said, "Great."
Wow.
And I said, "Okay, well, now's the time. Now I need to explain." And so we started with the garden, and you know, tending the garden. It's next to the tomatoes and the cucumbers and stuff, so it's not like out in some crazy place. So it's very normalized in that sense. So she helps me with the plants in the garden, and then we use them, you know, in different ways. So, you know, a lot of the leaves I use in projects or in photography styling, and I've made pesto. You know, I make a lot of non-psychoactive things out of them, so my family can have them, and CBD infused stuff. So I introduced her to that, and then I show her the flowers, and I mean, she watches me harvest them and cure them. So I mean, I've just taught her, this is how you treat herbs.
Mm-hmm.
You do the same thing with rosemary and blah, blah, blah. And you know, I've made her, she has eczema. So you know, I've made salve. There's great salves that really help. CBD tea. I infused ice cream with some CBD last summer. It was awesome. And she hears me have these conversations with people, and I'm explaining things in a very rudimentary way, developmentally appropriate for the client. Mm-hmm. And often that's pretty much close to how I would explain it to a child. So Scarlett, my daughter, has been able to see me say, oh, I'm going to put some CBD in my smoothie. We're going to go on a walk. We're going to go outdoors today, get some exercise, and then we're going to be productive. She'll see me stressed, and she'll say, do you need a mom break, mommy? And I'll say, yeah, you know what I do. I'll be back. And I'll go smoke. And she knows I'm not going to, if she walks out, I'm not going to hide something as if I am doing something wrong. I will not be made to feel like a criminal in my own home. So I, say, don't stand in the smoke line. I don't want her to get smoke. I don't want secondhand smoke to enter her lungs. Full stop. Yeah. But I'm not going to hide it. And so I'm a much calmer person, and then we're off to doing whatever we need to be doing. And she also hears me even have conversations with her dad when he doesn't fully understand something. And he doesn't fully understand a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's like a constant daily thing, honestly. And I'm in a point where I'm really confident in this stuff and I'm not looking things up. I'm just having these conversations based on my expertise and lived experience, but a lot of moms really aren't. Mm-hmm. So I have also been developing a list of quick responses when kids at different ages ask things, because when I started saying this to Scarlett and saying, well, I also need to protect my neck. I'm not going to send you out into the world, and I don't want you to get into weird conversations that are nuanced that you're not prepared for. So I also made a rule with her, in public, literally with anybody. If anybody asks her a question about weed, herb, pot, cannabis, if she can't physically touch me and get like a nonverbal, it's okay to talk cue, she just says, I don't know.
That's awesome.
It's much easier on her. She knows that I'm not telling this. I'm not telling her to say I don't know because she'll get in trouble.
Right.
I'm telling her to say I don't know because other people do not fully understand this plant's place in our society and bodies.
I think that's amazing.
Make it easy for her, and I don't give her too much information. Also,
you're not setting her up.
8.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, she's only 8, and I started when she was 5. So it was leaf structure, medicinal uses. Our ancestral use of this plant was really a good topic.
Yeah,
and so that's how I have done it. And at this point, she wants to do. I'm starting to work with a company, and they have products that will come out of a bag. And she said, can I help you do a stop motion video where we can take the products out, put the products back in? And yeah, why not? She can be a video producer. She can do that and have that authentic experience. I'm not going to let her eat them.
Yeah.
But so I've really tried to be as responsible as a mother and train her to be like, if something's in the house, if it's a piece of candy and you don't know what it is, or if it has a weed leaf on it, you absolutely don't eat it because it's medicine. It's strong medicine. So just like I would say with Advil, it's not locked in some padlock. We don't do that with booze.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not locked in some padlock cabinet. I'm not afraid she's going to get into it. She's educated about what it is. So she's not going to be that curious because I'm not going to let her get to the point where she has to sneak something. I want to be the educator before someone else is about that kind of stuff.
What a powerful approach to it. I mean, you've empowered your daughter to be able to not have to take on everybody that's out there that approaches her about it. You've empowered her enough to be educated and to know what is going on in her home and not feel insecure in any way about what is mommy doing when I'm not looking, or, when she rushes out of that room or whatever. It's really impressive. And I love that. I remember when we met at the Women Cannabis and Insomnia event you held, we were talking about you don't lock up booze. You don't hide booze. It's an adult thing. There are adult things. And I think kids understand that if you can teach them that. You also have to be so proud that you're raising a child that is not going to have the same stigmas and hangups about cannabis that we did growing up, because it's not automatically dangerous just being in the room or being around it. And that's not dangerous. Yes, you can touch it. Yes, you can do, a video of it, but this is not your thing. And that's, I think, a big part of the future is how we are educating people, both our age and beyond, and our generation coming and the next generation coming up.
Absolutely. And the thing is that a lot of kids who are, and I also tell her that there are children who are very sick, who do use this plant, who do consume it, and who do need it. And she says, well, I'm not very sick and I don't need it. And I'm like, correct.
Yes.
And so I just stopped there, and it's a really, she knew who Charlotte Figi was and what Charlotte's Web is and what that means to the world. That is very powerful stuff. And I would be remiss if I didn't teach my child about this plant. And it is my vocation. It's for sure my biggest passion outside of my family. But for anyone, there's the criminalization of this plant has bent the arc of this of our country in a horribly racist way for almost 100 years. And we're at a precipice where we can really change that. If we're not teaching the people who are going to be leading us in 20 years, we are not serving ourselves. It is just very clear to me. And I really hope that even people who don't use cannabis or don't see a place for it in their lives are able to embrace it as a cause, like doing a 5K for cancer when you don't have cancer. It's okay to support other people's medicinal needs and advocate for their needs. It's not like you would tell somebody, well, you can't have your diabetes, your heart meds, because I don't need it. I think it's bad.
Correct.
And it's like, what? Okay, no. So there's a whole, it's going to take a while, but sure. I sincerely believe that in my child's generation, we're going to have a much different look to it. Most of the women that I know who have children now have normalized it to a very great degree. And they inspired me, because I did hide it from her. My husband, didn't make me feel totally cool about not hiding it. I was relegated to the backyard or to the laundry room or whatever. Yeah. But then I thought, what? I'm going to be free. I'm going to be free. And I'm not hurting anybody. And I am definitely helping myself. And it's been 20 years on. So it's not like this is new for me. This is a very solid part of my lifestyle that, I've integrated more than a lot of others.
You're doing so much. You're helping so many and making such a positive impact. And just hearing about you and Charlotte, it just warms my heart. I come from, I spent a lot of time in education. I was a lit teacher for 13 years. And I just love your whole approach to this consistent education. And it is a righteous struggle in our country, very much. We know it's a slow burn, no pun intended, but I mean, you're hitting it at such the right way. You're confronting instead of, you guys were talking about locking up the alcohol, which we saw, growing up in places like that. But then you assign mystery to it, and when you do that, you give it power instead of just confronting it head on and talking about it. And my God, just sitting down and talking about things is the hallmark of what we need to do on a number of levels in our culture.
Yes. It translates to so many, many things that are happening in our world.
It really does. It really does. Christina, I have, before I'd be remiss if I didn't do this. We have questions for you that were submitted. People want to ask you a couple of things, so I hope that's okay to throw a couple questions your way. And I want to thank our teammate, Ashley Laws submitted a couple questions to us. And as more states and more markets open up, Ashley was wondering, where you see the industry going. And I wanted to tack something onto that. When new demographics, like when Florida opens up, do you see the Canncierge expanding into these new markets as well? Or are you pretty well set where you are?
I would love to clone myself to all the states. And there needs to be cannabis educators all over, because there's just a huge need for this in our world. And essentially what I am doing is I'm trying to work on a way to digitally disseminate myself so that I can be a subscription service potentially for really specific content for the intersection of women and cannabis. So I'm trying to do it in a digital way to spread my own experience, but I would encourage other people to seek out this education in a very deep and authentic way, and read as much as humanly possible. And if you have a friend who is really, really into herb, ask them questions. Or if it's something that you are very passionate about, basically educating friends is a great thing to do. I mean, people can book time with me and it's worthy. You know, I've reduced my rates to pandemic rates because it's really hard. And
Sure.
I have, you know, a great calendar available to people to book time with me, but I would love to be a resource for other people to also become cannabis educators in their own communities, because, you know, quite honestly, every community is different. And the approach should be, you know, I'm not going to be the right person for everybody, although, you know, it's kind of like when we're talking about vaccine awareness. When people are hesitant to take a vaccine, they might be more open to education from someone that looks like them, someone from their community. Yeah. And I think that extends also to this type of stuff, because there are so many cultural intricacies, including the word marijuana versus cannabis. You know, I should also say that if you are a Black or brown person reclaiming that word marijuana, you should use that word marijuana. But I do think that people need to be educating within their communities. And if there's an idea out there for me to help do that, I would love to hear from someone.
Excellent. I have another one from our team. Oh, Francesca.
Wait, I wanted to do a quick follow-up on that, because Christina, I know you're really involved in the Pink Sesh. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, they're friends. They're my buddies.
Yeah.
The Pink Haze and the Pink Sesh, these are the brand, a weed brand and a social club based here in San Diego. My friends Summer and Patty, shout out Pink Haze. They essentially started a cannabis social club where you got together once a month and had lunch and smoked a ton of herb together. It's like 30, 40 of us, and pre-pandemic. And it was basically the sorority I didn't know I needed. Like, this is a really diverse group of women, moms, people, grandmas, like everybody. I mean, it's so weird to me. I have friends who are like 25 and I'm not 20. I'm nowhere near 25. So I'm like, oh, this is cool. I mean, I have like mentors who are so much younger. It's neat. And so this community, I was one of the first ones that started going. So maybe when the first one, there was like 10 of us. And so it's been maybe 4 years. And although it's been on hiatus because of COVID, we've been doing some online stuff. They've been doing some online stuff. And it's turned into these little micro communities. You know, I made these amazing friendships, and I have a lot of friends in my life that I've had for 20 years, but not all of them are cannabis users. So I just met this whole girl gang of women who are just baddies and unapologetic about using cannabis. And they're all super productive, amazing women, from former political operatives to lawyers, doctors, accountants, tons of teachers and nurses.
I love it.
And just moms, hairdressers, athletes, like it's just everybody. And
that's so cool.
It's not all a bunch of white people either. It's like a diverse array of women too. So it's cool.
Nice.
I got to line up my next trip out there with a little Pink Sesh.
Hell yes.
Yes, you do.
Oh
and one more, because we saw a couple names on your link tree and in some of your writing. Our team is curious. Do you have any role models that are kind of like your touchstones?
Yes. Oh, hell yeah. I mean, Gloria Steinem is a huge role model for me. Shirley Chisholm is someone that I adore, and I look, just who else? There are a lot of women who are, I love Rachel Maddow. I love
as
Joy
as
Reid.
do I.
Yeah.
A lot of investigative journalists are really heroes to me.
Mm-hmm.
And women like Deb Holland, our first Native American cabinet member.
That made me so happy just hearing she was in the running for that position. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, 35th generation Native American.
Yeah.
She's literally the most American person in the Congress.
And if there's someone who can answer the call to help undo the damage that's been done, my God, it's her. She's amazing. She's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. She is a huge source of pride as far as someone who does, identify as an Indigenous woman also. She's very, very proud of her.
Yeah, as you should be. Christina, I can't tell you what a great talk this has been, and I can't thank you enough for joining us. But I want to make sure, where can we find you? Tell us where we can find the Canncierge.
Thank you for having me. This is just a total joy. So you can find me on Instagram at the Canncierge. So that's TheCanncierge. You can also find me on my website at the same name. And get at me.
You got it, guys. You got it. As somebody who met her through Instagram, she is everything online as she is in person. You get the same wonderful woman everywhere. Authentic is her middle name. And it's just one of the warmest things in the world is to be in a room with you.
Oh, I adore you, Fran. I really
adore
do.
You too.
Thank you so much for having me today. This was really fun.
You made our day. Get to the website, order the It's a Weed Cough mask. That thing's sold out. I saw it. Congrats to you on that one. Look, and congrats on your second dose. Our best to, I hope everything goes well.
Thank you. I'll tell you. I'll let you know how it goes.
Please do.
Please do.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get back to normal.
This has been an absolute pleasure today on Infused with our guest, the Canncierge. Guys, we're going to see you next time from Delaware. Be good.
Delaware.